Okay, so this is Michelle in Goodfellow, and this is how I decided to make Brussels sprouts. Um, Honestly, I think this is the first time I ever cooked Brussels sprouts myself. I mean, I've seen other people do it. I've seen my mom cook Brussels sprouts, and I really like Brussels sprouts. But the thing I don't like is that Brussels sprouts and just like a lot of cabbagey type things, they really, when they're cooking, they fill your house with this kind of cabbagey smell, and I really don't like that. So I think that's why I've never cooked Brussels sprouts myself. But they're really, I like them. They're good. They're like they're like little cabbages, and they're really healthy, like all of the cruciferous vegetables. That would include like cabbage and broccoli and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts. I don't know, they're good for your colon or something like that. But I think the reason I bought them was because uh, I think they were on special at the grocery store, and I saw, and they were like in this huge bin, and like they were like a really cheap amount. I don't remember what, but a really cheap amount per pound. And because it was the holidays, it was right before Christmas, and so I bought just a small amount of them, and then they sat in my fridge for a couple of weeks because every night I would open my fridge and I would look and I would see the Brussels sprouts and I would think, oh, maybe I'll make those tomorrow because I don't feel like making them tonight. And then finally tonight I said, look, I've got to make these things or they're just gonna be wasted because they'll go bad. So that's why I cooked them tonight. And this is totally my cat checking out the Brussels sprouts. And so the thing with Brussels sprouts is that they're really tightly compact. The leaves are all like wrapped really tight, like cabbages. But and they have a stem end. And what you need to do is you need to cut off the stem end a little bit. In fact, I don't even know why you have to do that, other than it like makes them look nicer. Otherwise, they have this sort of longer thingy. But what you do need to do is you need to, on the stem end, whether you cut it or not, you need to cut into it like this in kind of an X shape. And I cut this down about half an inch or more, maybe 3/4 of an inch. And what this does is it makes them cook faster, because otherwise that the stem end is the longest, it takes the longest part to, it's the part that takes the longest to cook. So if you don't cut it, you could be cooking these Brussels sprouts for like an hour or something, I'm guessing, and I didn't feel like doing that. So oh, and another thing about my Brussels sprouts is like after I cut them, like because I totally didn't wash them, which I probably should have done, but I figured with a lot of vegetables, unless they're like really sandy or gritty or something, I figure I don't need to wash them, because if they're gonna be boiled, they're basically gonna be, all the germs will be killed by the boiling. But anyhow, these Brussels sprouts look a little dubious because the outside leaves were all dirty. So what I ended up doing is peeling off the outside leaves on a lot of them, and that's what this is, me peeling off the outside leaves. And by the time I was done, I had peeled off this many leaves, which might have been like a little excessive, maybe, but but I felt like doing it. So then you put the Brussels sprouts in a pot, and then you add water, although I actually didn't add water. What I did was I added some cooking liquid from vegetables. I save, whenever I cook vegetables like potatoes, and oh, and I should mention, like, don't ever, if you cook any of the cruciferous vegetables like broccoli or cabbage or stuff, never save the cooking water for soup, because not only do they have that really strong kind of cabbagey taste and smell, but they're sort of very sulfurous, and they get kind of bitter if the water's been cooking too long. So they're not really good for soups. But to make soups, I save cooking liquid from lots of vegetables in jars, and I save it in jars in the fridge, and then I use it for things like this. This is even just to cook vegetables. I wasn't making soup, so that so that they might have more flavor, I guess, ish. So I filled up, I covered them with water or this cooking liquid that I have in the fridge, and then I also got this bright idea to add a piece of ginger, of fresh ginger, to the pot. And I probably should have taken a picture of me like cutting the skin off it and stuff, because you have to cut the skin off the fresh ginger. And anyway, you can skip this whole part if you want to, because I don't know, it just seemed like a good idea at the time. And I stuck the piece of ginger, it was only like this big compared to the Brussels sprouts. I stuck it into the pot with the ginger, or with the Brussels sprouts, and I just cooked it that way. So I put everything in the pot on the stove, and then I turned on the burner, and you probably want to cook them at medium. The reason that this looks like it's on high is that because it was on high, because my burners are kind of dubious, but don't you cook them on high, because then they'll like be, I don't know, too overcooked or something. Anyway, I probably shouldn't have even included that picture. Never mind. So these are the Brussels sprouts cooking in the pot on the stove, and you can have the lid on. I just like took the lid off to totally take a picture of them to show you them cooking, but I keep the lid on while they're cooking, because you know, if you don't keep the lid on, they'll smell even more like cabbage, which is really gross. So and then I wasn't sure how long they were going to take to cook, because it seemed to me like when my mom cooks them, they take a long time. Although if you cut the ends the way I did, they're supposed to be faster. So I was prepared for almost anything, but I think, and I should have kept track, and I'm sorry, my bad, but I think they only took about 15 or 20 minutes. And then the way you tell they're done is you like take a fork or something, and you try and see if they're soft or not. So this is actually, I use it's I don't know what the name of it is. It's for when you're stuffing a turkey and you want to like pin the turkey shut after you stuff it. These pins I use to test cooking. So I stick one of these pins in, and if it sticks in with no problem, if the vegetable is soft, then it's done. And you also, before you eat them, you want to find that piece of ginger, if you put ginger in it, and you want to fish it out, because that would totally not taste good if you ate that. And then what I did, you could just eat them plain, or you could put butter on them or salt or whatever. I took some olive oil, and I poured olive oil on the Brussels sprouts, because I don't use butter or margarine. And then I took this stuff called Herba Mare, which is this really awesome, I get it at the well, actually you can get it at grocery stores now too. I used to get it at the health food store. But it's sea salt with like dehydrated herbs and stuff added. It's really yummy. So add whatever seasoning you want, and then this is ta-da. This is what they look like when they're done. And so oh, and they come totally cat approved. This is one of my guys licking them, so yeah, I don't know, whatever. My cats like vegetables, they're weird. And then when I was done eating them, they also looked at the bowl, which I realize is probably totally gross, but whatever. So that's how I cooked Brussels sprouts, and I hope that wasn't totally useless for you. The end.